Hey guys, how's it going? And welcome to Councilman's Corner with Joe Green. This is our second episode, episode 2, and this episode is basically just going to bring you what happened at last week's council meeting and what's going on at this week's council meeting. Like I told you, I'm trying to just educate you on what it is exactly your city council, our city council, and maybe even the city council in your city across the nation is doing. So last week we had a meeting. Like I told you, we have council meetings every second and fourth Tuesday of the month. So our last meeting was on April 11th. And our April 11th agenda actually was pretty light. We ended up getting out of the meeting by about 9:30, which means that I was up there for 4 hours with my colleagues talking about city business. So what do you talk about for 4 hours on the dais at a council meeting? Here goes. So April 11th, we started at 5:30. One thing we did, which is pretty awesome, is we always start with proclamations. And we got to give a proclamation to Vista Irrigation District. The city of Vista is different than the city of Oceanside and other municipalities as well, because we actually have a separate entity that takes care of the water and the water distribution and consumption per se within our city. Vista Irrigation District is actually older than the city of Vista. So we gave them a proclamation for being 100 years old, and they gave us a proclamation for being 60 years old. As you could imagine, the water had to come before the city came. So that was pretty cool. And like I say, every meeting we start out with a proclamation because it's a cool, positive note to start on. Now, the next thing we went over was basically just our consent calendar. Nothing too crazy aside. Item number C4 was our Kites Over Vista program. And if you've driven through downtown Vista, you've seen these art sculptures. And what we do, we actually allow citizens to submit mini sculptures. We get them approved through our art commission, and then we fund these projects for our Kites Over Vista. And we typically give, I want to say it's $2,000 for the actual construction of the kite. And it doesn't have to be a kite. So you'll see some stuff down here by Belching Beaver in downtown Vista. We also added another location off of Hacienda and Vista Village Drive. And one of the council members even said, let's see how much we can expand the Kites Over Vista program. So you may be seeing more art throughout Vista, which is real important to us. Let's see, the appeal that I talked to you about on the smoke shop, it actually was great that it came forward because it gave our city council a little bit more opportunity to talk about tobacco and the risks to youth that tobacco poses in our city. The new smoke shop actually was approved by a 5-0 vote when all was said and done, but we were able to lay over some additional safety precautions. So they're going to have 24-hour surveillance. They're going to have a 24-hour security guard there. And this particular smoke shop is going to be 21 and older only. Additionally, we noticed there were some accidents outside the establishment, and the owners are going to be adding a right-hand turn only sign as well as a no left-hand turn sign going out. So looking at this as a council was a great opportunity to just kind of check out additional safety precautions that we could put in place. So at the end of the day, on that public hearing, it was approved. It went through, and we will have a smoke shop there in Vista located at 1745 East Vista Way. Next thing we talked about was just the discussion items. This is no real action, but what was really important is we reviewed the department head hiring policy. And if you guys remember, back last year in September, our council brought forward a new policy to hire department heads. And it was a little controversial. There were some stories in the news about the council trying to take power away from the city manager. I'm happy to report that at the end of the day and at the end of our meeting, we all agreed 5-0 to approve this consensus hiring process. And basically what it is a collaborative hiring process that allows different stakeholders within the city of Vista to recommend the top candidates for our director positions to our city manager. Now, I'm not sure how it is in your city, but in Vista, we have 11 department directors that employ 299 employees. So these are the positions we're talking about. If you go back to the meeting and you click on the link in the agenda, you can see exactly how every stakeholder group is made up and who's going to be recommending who these department directors are to our new city manager. We also got to speak with our new city manager on the dais, and he just cleared up that he was really excited about the process. He feels like it'll make sure that he's beyond reproach, because having help from your directors and involvement from stakeholders in the hiring process is the best way to get it done. So I'm excited that transparent department director hiring process went through, and I'm really excited for the new department directors that are going to be coming to the city of Vista. So that was a big thing. The last thing we talked about at the last meeting was just expanding recreational youth opportunities. And this is something we'd love to get everybody's opinion on. So feel free to come to the council meetings and speak up, grab an oral communication card. How can we utilize our facilities here for our youth in Vista? Do you have kids who play soccer? Do they play softball? Do they play football? Do they play basketball? Do they box? What type of facilities do you feel like we need here in Vista for the youth? Do we need more scholarship programs? Anything you can think of, we'd like to know about. This was simply a discussion item. There will be an upcoming workshop that we'll be inviting the community to get some more input. So that was the last meeting. Now on this upcoming meeting, which the upcoming meeting is April 25th at 5:30 at 200 Civic Center Drive in Vista. Make sure you show up. We don't have any public hearing items, but we do have some very important discussion items. One thing I want to make sure that the public knows now is we changed oral communications. So it used to be if you wanted to say something to the city council, you had to wait all the way to the end of the meeting to say something. Now, some of our meetings have ran past 11 o'clock, even past midnight. And if you just wanted to talk about a crosswalk in your neighborhood, that's a long time to wait. Well, my council made the decision to have oral communications precede the discussion items, public hearing, and the consent calendar. So from now on, if you want to speak to your council direct, you can show up and you'll be heard right at the beginning of the meeting. So that last meeting was the first meeting like that. This meeting is the next meeting where you can be heard before we go through the order of business per se. Now, when I look at this agenda, really nothing too amazing on it, aside from the fact that we got some really good grants for the city. We got grants for solar permitting. We're trying to convert all of our buildings to solar here in the city of Vista to comply with all of our climate action plan goals. But when it comes to discussion items, I feel like that is really when it gets important here in our agenda this week. So we have 3 discussion items, actually 4 discussion items. The first one just has to do with our service agreement amendment with Jewish Family Services. Now they operate our safe parking lot here in Vista, and we are opening up a safe parking lot here in different areas of Vista. So this is basically speaking about where is the new safe parking lot going to be? How many safe parking lots will there be in Vista? And what are the stipulations on these lots? One thing that I want to make sure the public knows is that in order to park your car in a safe parking lot, you have to have a reservation and you have to check in and check out. These lots typically function from 7 o'clock at night to 7 o'clock in the morning. They're opened after business closes and they're closed before business is open. So we're going to talk about safe parking. If that's something you're interested in, come to the council meeting. Now, the second item on here is a cannabis-related item, which I have on the agenda. Now, I've been touring the dispensaries throughout the city of Vista, and in speaking with the dispensary owners, they've been talking about the legal aspects of events outside in the city of Vista. You can do a special event outside within the cannabis industry as long as you follow all of the state of California and the Bureau of Cannabis Control guidelines. So if you haven't watched the California Cannabis Corridor short videos that we have out, check them all out. They'll let you know what's going on in our dispensaries. But when it comes down to this special event, I'm hoping to get a lot of community feedback, whether you're for this or against this. In the event we're complying with the state guidelines and the state laws, should we allow outside cannabis special events, whether they're on private property at the dispensaries or in our public properties within the city of Vista? How do you feel about that? Show up and let us know. The other item is the fire department modification of ambulance staffing. Good news. Looks like we're getting 2 new ambulances in Vista. As the population has increased, it's very important to make sure that we increase our public safety resources. Now, these 2 ambulances are different than any other ambulances we've ever hired in Vista. We're actually opening these up to EMTs. Now, EMTs are different than paramedics. I equate paramedics to doctors and EMTs to like LV and nurses per se. But what we found is that 65%, over 65% of our calls are BLS calls, which are basic life-serving call needs. Now, those calls can be serviced by EMTs and not paramedics. So in order to, number one, save a little money for the city, but also take the workload off of the back of our fantastic Vista firefighters, we're going to be adding some EMT ambulances. Now, the good news is we get to charge for the EMT calls, so they balance out budget-wise. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money to add 2 more ambulances, but it will make sure that our call times in the city of Vista are going to be between 0 and 8 minutes for any type of BLS call, which is a very, very important item to have. So that's something we're going to be discussing. And then the last thing is D4, which is the general plan update. So if you want to know how your city is zoned, where the housing is coming in, where the commercial buildings are coming in, is there a hotel coming in, where are the schools located, come and talk about D4. And something that just slipped by me was D5. And it's not that it's not important. It was just on the last page. Councilmember Melendez is bringing forward a resolution for Earth Day. Now, I haven't seen the resolution yet, but I love Earth Day, and I know that everybody in the city of Vista loves the earth, and we want to work hard to make sure that we have a great place to live and a fantastic place for our community moving forward. So the meeting coming up on April 25th, super cut and dry. Love to have you. Want to have you there talking about what's going on. We'd love to hear your opinion on what we're doing in Vista. Now, I did say we were giving away some awesome swag at these episodes. I am happy to let you know that Dr. Ron Cottrell of Active Mobility here in the city of Vista, his business is in Shadow Ridge, has won the first custom Joe Green hat. I even made it in Padres colors for you, Dr. Ron, so I'm excited to hand it out. Thanks so much for watching Councilman's Corner, Episode 2. I hope you will subscribe to our YouTube page down here. Watch all the content we have coming out. And if there's any questions or anything you want to know about what happens in City Council, hit us up on Councilman's Corner. I appreciate you so much, fam. Looking forward to seeing you at the next City Council meeting. Joe Green, I'm out.